What is it that you love in specifics? If you could pick,
I just like writing dialogue, and I like trying to make it real. I like making it the way it happened, and I really avoid going for a joke.
Right.
Like, oh, but this is a joke. It's more like, well, a kid doesn't talk like that, and this did happen to me, and I just remember like to me, so much of the really funny stuff in life is if it was happening to you. If it was happening to you, it wouldn't be funny. But if you were watching it
happen to somebody else
and you didn't give a shit about them, it's like hilarious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, within reason. You know what I mean? But like...
Yeah, falling downstairs sucks, but seeing someone...
Yeah. No, that's one. If it's somebody you know, it's even funnier. But I remember just learning that when I was coming out of the comic strip. I think I talked to you about this one time. Like I was... coming up, what's the comic strip? That's 82nd and 2nd, right? I was coming up 2nd Avenue. I had a great set, and I'd just gone to New York. I was finally getting in the mix. I was getting the spots, and it's just like, there's an excitement to that's to this day still kills me that I can go to New York and do a spot on a weekend. And so I was coming up the street flying high, and all of a sudden I walked by this bar, and the door bursted open, and two guys came out squaring off to fight, and neither one of them wanted to fight, right? And all their friends, so they're just waiting for the other one to flinch, so they were trying to look tough, but they were terrified, and that dual thing, and the heightened thing of like, oh my God, am I gonna lose all my teeth, was all in their face, and I was fucking crying, laughing, because I didn't give a shit what happened. I didn't want to see anybody get hurt, but it's not my friend. All right? So just watching the terror of that and then relating to it, being like, that's how I would feel. Like, I wouldn't want to, like, never ends well. So so people, if they've seen the show, that's why we have, like those moments, like, where, Kevin goes and he helps his little brother. And then his little brother says, thank you. And then he just punches him in the stomach and he collapses and cries. And he just walks away. And it was just like, yeah, like that shit used to happen to me. I remember one time me and a friend of mine were climbing up a tree, just innocently having a good time climbing a tree, and these big kids came along. They saw us up there, and they just started throwing rocks at us for no fucking reason. We were just up there, crying, hanging up there. They kept hitting our ankles and shit, and they just did it until they were tired, and then they left. And I remember we sort of shook it off and then just continued climbing the tree. Do you know how many of those stories I have? One time my mother bought me this fucking outfit, right? She bought me this.
How long did it take you to shake it off before you climb more up the tree?
The funny thing is I don't really remember anything after that other than just climbing the tree. It was just like, that's just what happened. And so one time my mother, for my birthday or something, she bought, Westerns were still big, back then. So she bought me like a little cowboy outfit. I had like a hat.
Yeah, you did.
I had a hat, and I had like holster, and then like the 6-shooters. And I had like the mother of pearl, but it's really like plastic.
Yeah.
So they had a little bandana. She got me all dressed up and just sent me outside, right? No security, no nothing, right? So I don't even think I made it to the end of my driveway. Those same fucking kids were walking by. And I was just standing there dressed like a little cowboy. And the kid just walked up, took the gun out, and just fucking smashed it on the tar. And they all laughed and walked away. And then I just picked up the pieces of the gun, and I walked in the house. This is like 5 minutes after she sent me out. And she's like, Jesus Christ, what happened? And I go, big kids did this. And she just sat me down and she made me a sandwich. And that was it. There was no like follow-up, we gotta find these kids. There wasn't like this beginning, middle, and end, and a resolution, and then he learned something about himself. It was like, no, that was fucking traumatic. Dude, I remember the guys who used to collect the garbage. They were these fucking lunatics, and if you were anywhere near them, they would pretend that they were going to throw you in the truck, and they would pick you up. We're going to do it! We're going to do it! Ah! Ah! And you'd be screaming, just screaming in terror. They'd have the fucking thing on, and then they'd laugh, And they fucking did it like every week, but the garbage truck was so fascinating. There was no video games. It was just cool to look at, so you'd always...
wondering what brought you back to the fucking truck every time.
There was always there'd be a herd of little kids, and you learned to be in the middle. You didn't want to be, it was like Discovery Channel. You don't want to be the fucking weak one. that zebra that gets eaten by the fucking crocodile. So it was stuff like that. So forever, during my career, that's what I've been pitching. I've been pitching. I could never get it on air. I could never get it on the air for whatever reasons. I mean, maybe I wasn't good enough or whatever, but I just couldn't get shit. Like, it was always like, oh, that's misogynistic. Oh, what is it? You're promoting this with children, you're doing that and everything. And it just...
Make it a cartoon.
Yeah.
You can throw a kid in a garbage truck in a cartoon, absolutely.
Exactly. Now I feel like I'm insulated on two levels, because now it takes place in the early 70s and it's animated. So I can just, if anybody gets offended, I'll be like, well, this is how animated people talked in the early 70s.
All right. I watched this show and was just laughing into tears and couldn't get to the next episode fast enough. Just loved it. But now it's been a little while, and I've forgotten the character's name, but I need to know what the inspiration was for that little kid walking around in that fucking loaded diaper.
Oh, yeah.
What is happening there?
There was always those...
Describe the characters for the people who...
All right, so there's two... I think they're Ben and Ken. I don't even fucking know their names. They're just, they always had like those kids in your neighborhood where...
The dirty neighbor kids.
Yeah, their parents were like never home. The lights weren't on. You didn't know what they did. You didn't know. You just...
If you ever went to their house, it smelled so weird.
You never got in it. Like, I never, it was just these fucking kids. And like, your parents would tell you not to hang out with them. They were like the first ones that tried drugs. They, had slingshots and all that type of shit. So we got two of those, and one of them's, a little bit older and the other one's younger, and he's... he just sort of walks around with like a T-shirt and a diaper.
A loaded diaper, clearly. It's hanging.
Well, that was actually a little inspiration of my youngest brother, where there were days like in the summer, there was like 5 of us, and my mother was working nights, so she would just like send us outside, and there were days that he would just play outside, and he had a T-shirt on and just had his diaper on. And we would race Tonka trucks.
Sure.
Down the driveway to like the busiest street in the neighborhood. You just ride on the back of them, and
Yeah.
But you see how like quiet that got the second I went to a real kid. And all of a sudden it's just like, well, that's terrible parenting, and I hope he was all right. They need to call some fucking group.
Your choice. Whose choice for you to play voice the part of your father? It just made the most sense.
That was always going to be me.
Okay. So then you cast Sam Rockwell as the neighbor. You got to describe this character. This is fucking loaded and fantastic. And
okay, it's Vic Reynolds is his name. So basically, his whole deal is the guy that I play. He's a guy that he met the woman he was supposed to be with, but like he knocked her up. So everything kind of got fast forward, and he had a kid, and he wanted to be a pilot. He wanted to do all this stuff, and because he had his kid, it just derailed everything. So now he works down at the airport, in like baggage handling. So he gets to see his dream literally taking off every day. As he deals, he's like so close. It would have been better if he just worked in a hardware store or something. But so, we got married young and all that type of shit, and like he's still just trying to gain his footing. He's still figuring out who he is and all that stuff. And the guy across the street, Vic Reynolds, is just one of these guys who just like, he's
got it all.
He's got it all.
Got the Corvette.
He's got the Corvette. He's got a motorcycle. He's got all these hot chicks. He's a good-looking guy.
He's blonde. He's always got a shirt off for no reason.
Yeah, he's got a shirt off for no reason. But the thing about him is he's a good person. So Frank resents him, but Vic's got nothing but love for him. So Frank's sort of fighting like this one-sided war with him. And he always tries to get under his skin, but Vic either is too zen-like or even maybe not even too smart to even get that Frank is all over him. So that's another thing. It's sort of like at work, he sees his dream taken off, and then when he looks out his bay window, he sees this guy across the street and sees what his life possibly could have been.
Yeah. And Sam Rockwell, what a choice to play that part. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
How did that happen?
Vince knew him. Vince, Peter, Billingsley, they all knew him, and they were like, yeah, we're going to get him to... he'll do it. We'll talk him into doing it. He's always doing Broadway or some big movie or something. So somehow they got him, and I think that's when we started getting some names, because he signed on. So
right, and some of the other people involved.
Laura Dern plays Susan, my wife.
Yeah.
Justin Long
plays the radical kid who just who's that? Is that character one of your brothers or?
It's
amalgamation.
No, yeah, I did like an amalgamation. I wanted my family to be able to sit down and watch this thing and not feel like, oh my God, like mortified. Like, so it's all like they'll recognize
Moments.
like catchphrases like that. I'll put you through the fucking wall. That my dad used to say that. Like he would say that. I'll put you through that fucking wall. And
by the
one
way,
time he did say that outside, and we sort of snickered. Like so, we were standing out in the fucking yard. Like there's, it's like, yeah, Dad, there's no wall. There's no wall. I don't know what shit. So
the beauty of a phrase like that from a father is the vehemency with which it's delivered. He's so fucking dialed in and serious when he says it.
Yeah.
No self-awareness. How ridiculous it might sound to everyone else. Right?
Oh, yeah, and we were terrified of him. And it wasn't until later that I really looked back at my childhood. I was like, that guy never even came close to being physical or anything like that. My mother, on the other hand, would just hit you with any blunt object. She'd get her. She was a way more slow burn, but then once she fucking snapped, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something
Salad
about the
spoons, hair brushes. My dad had a paddle from his fraternity. She used to we used to hide that thing. She used to line us up, and you'd just be sitting there waiting, you know? Oh, she'd get tired. She'd miss your ass, hit the back of your legs. It's the fucking worst. But I have to admit, like when I look back, I can't really ever remember a time I didn't deserve it. Like it was always like I totally deserve it. Except one time, my brother said that I kicked my other brother in the face. I didn't. I kicked him in the stomach, which was way less. And that was when my mother was brushing her hair.
Still fucking
and
kicked him.
She went to slam, and I just got my head out of the way. Hit me right in the middle of the back, and the brush just succeeded. Right? The fucking brush explodes.
Yeah.
And I just remembered, like, she was like for the rest, like, I think until I moved out, she's still so frugal. She just, like, held the brush thing in her hand, like using it like that. You know when black guys try to get waves, you know that brush that they use? That's what she looked like. She was just... I was like, Mom, just throw it out. She goes, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, that was her thing. There's nothing wrong with it.
That was her catchphrase? There's nothing wrong with it?
Nothing wrong with it, yeah. Eat this before I throw it out. She was one of those people. Mom, it's been in there 3 weeks. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's you. That's you over here, raised in a house of what, mold and asbestos? Is that
I grew up in a house of mold and asbestos. What do you
Yeah. Nothing goes to waste.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but you see that this fucking thing. Like, I used to tell those jokes about getting hit and all that stuff. I mean, I had to close with it. In the early 90s, I had to close with it. Now, whenever I tell those stories,
a hush
I'm
falls
literally sitting here fine.
Yeah.
I prefaced it with I deserved it, and it was still like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kicked my brother in the stomach. I mean, don't you guys like those instant justice YouTube videos?